Ryze have been one of the strongest units of set 12, and after the latest patch, Ryze with Portal is now the most picked comp in Master Plus. Today we're gonna go over everything you need to know to master this comp. Early, mid and late game, items, augments and how we will put our units. But before we go into all the important details, let's look at what the full comp look like. By default we're gonna play all 8 Portal units. Galio and Taric in the front line, Ryze as the damage dealer, and the rest of the units is more or less units to get us to 8 portals, but do also provide us with 2 scholars and the trait best friends. The trait portal gives us a shield to all the portal units and do also provide us with different stuff depending on how big the portal is. And the portal do also scale with portal champions starring up, so that means a 2-star on Zoe and Jace is quite important. Scholars give more mana to the scholar units every time they attack, and best friends gives us Yumi that can scale up another unit, and that could be Ryze in the backline if you want more damage, or you could put it on Taric in the front line to give us more support for the front line. Should we get to level 9, we want to put in Diana in the front line, or we could put in something like Nami in the backline, since it gives us 3 mages and this also provide us with a lot of CC. If we get to level 10, we will always look for 10 in the portal, since it's more or less an auto win. But if that's not the case, we should go for these 2 units, or we could also play in something like Morgana. Before we get to level 9, especially at level 8, we will have a huge advantage if we get an emblem. So that is something we are really looking for. And that is why augments like Portal Crest or Portal Crown is really good and will be the best picks. But we could also go for something like Pandora's or New Recruit, or augments like Magic Wand, Little Bodies or All That Shimmers can also work very well. That is because we want to go to level 8 as fast as possible, and we do also need quite a lot of items. But an emblem or spatula is always something that we're looking for. When it comes to the portals that we're picking in the start and not the trait, we are looking at something like Gold Subscription, Trainer's Golem or Spatula. When it comes to this comp, Ryze is our main carry, and that is why we are building items for him first. What he does is shooting the 4 closest enemy and doing magic damage. But keep in mind, the amount of shots that he does scale with attack speed, and the damage of course scales with AP. So that is why Ryze really like attack speed and AP items, and he does also like Sojourn. There is tons of variation you can play, but I usually look for an AP item like Archangel or Gauntlet, one item that gives him mana faster like Rageblade or Sojourn, and then one anti-heal item like Red Buff or Morello. But when you build items for Ryze, you don't have to use these exact items. And what you see here is everything that you could build. And there's even more variation of this that you could use. I tend to go for something like this, and else you can be just fine by building something like this. So as you can see, building items for Ryze, it's a good idea to have some sort of attack speed or faster mana. It's also a good idea to have some sort of anti-heal, and it's also a good idea to have some sort of AP. But what you build doesn't matter that much. If you have a Ryze scaling up, it's also important to have a strong frontline that can hold the units back. Meanwhile, you are scaling up to do these tons amount of damage. And when it comes to the frontline, we are looking at Galio and Taric. These guys is our main tanks, and Taric will have the biggest impact in the late game, but we do get Galio faster, so we tend to put items on him first. What we're looking for here is just purely tank items, and we can go for everything from Stoneblade, Warmonks, Bramble and Cross, and if you have the option, you should also put in Spark for anti-magic resist. If you don't have the option to put items on these 3 guys, you should look for 80 items on Ezreal, attack speed, AP and mana items on Nora, and you could also put bruiser items or tank items on Diana if you have that unit in. The comp is a fast 8, so remember it's all about getting to level 8 as fast as possible, but keep in mind that the portal units scales with portal units that are starting up, so that means a 2-star is quite important on all of your portal units. As mentioned before, this will buff up the whole team even more if you're having your lowest cost to 2-star. In the very early game, we are trying to get 3 portals in. That usually goes for one of these 4 units. And if we can have Zoe as an item holder for Ryze, we will do that. We already know that Gale is gonna be an item holder, and that is why we start building items on him as well. But are we not getting these units? We could just play whatever is the strongest board that we can make and just slam these items and transfer them over as soon as we're having 3 portals. A classic unit to put in here would be something like Ari. This gives us 2 scholars and makes Zori cast more often. And from here you could put in something like Hecarim that makes us get another trait active. But what could be even better than this would be playing something like Rumble, especially if you're getting him to 2-star, making us having a stronger frontline. Rumble do also have the Blaster trait, and that is just perfect since we want to play Ezreal later, and that means we can also get that trait active and play 5 in portals. Do we for some reason get another unit from portals that could only be Taric or Ryze, we will of course try to force in 6 portals, but that is usually not the case when we are level 6. When we get to level 7, we will just play whatever fits the board the best, but are we hitting one of these units, we will of course put them in and play either this board or this. Keep in mind you always want to 2-star all of your portal units, and as soon as you get to level 8, you will do a roll down. But keep in mind, meanwhile we are getting to level 8, we want to have as high health and gold as possible all the time. When we hit stage 4-1 or 4-2, we want to do a roll down and try to hit some of the units. In the best case, we of course hitting all of the 8 portal units, but that is usually not the case. So what I aim for is hitting at least 1 Ryze and 1 Taric, and in the best case also having all of the other units to 2-star. I usually also stop my rolling so I'm not going below 33 gold, so I have a good chance of getting up in gold fast again. If we are contested, we could consider doing a roll down at 4-1 before everyone else. Normally when you're playing a fast 8, you do your roll down at 4-2, and this gives us a chance to hit our force cost units before everyone else. If you're not contested at all, you could also wait to stage 4-5 if you have a good amount of health. If we don't hit the 8 portals, we usually just put in more units to the front line. And what you should look for now is just to get your units to 2-star, and then you want to look for level 9. During 2, we have an easier time to hit the 8 portal at level 9. If you have Ryze and Taric to 2-star, I would always just go for level 9, no matter if the other units are to 2-star. So other common boards you can look for is this for Scholar. You're obviously still gonna put items on Ryze and items on Taric, but else this is what you could play. You are only playing 3 in portals, but you are getting a lot of mana for your Scholar units, and you do also have some extra damage from Arcana. But as soon as you see your chance to get 8 in portals, you would play that instead. So this is something you could play if you are not hitting the 8 portals at level 8. Get this board and then go to level 9 and go for the 8 portals instead. Another board you could play is 6 portals. Here we're just playing 6 of the units, we are removing Jace, and then we're putting in Tahm Kench and Hecarim. Keep in mind that other than portals is providing us with all of these good stuff, it does also give us a shield on all of the portal units. And that means we want to have our portal units in the side so they can tank some extra damage. And once again, if you see yourself getting 8 in the portals, we will play that. So in the end, you want to go to level 9, playing this full board. If you have an extra portal, you can put it on Diana, put also these bruiser items on her, and then play for giving Ryze more time. That means you could also play a little bit different than this, and the reason why is that Ezreal do a jump when he is casting. So if you're putting him in the front line, giving him a little bit of damage, since you have a shield from portals, he will jump back again. It does only give us a little bit of a different, but we will take everything where we can. But else, that was all for now. If you can use these kind of guides, please consider subscribing. You can always change your mind. And like the video, and else just thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next guide. Good luck on climbing.